Welcome back to the Villain's Perspective Podcast. I'm James Jones. I'm here with Mario Harris.
What's happening?
And Mr. Jeremy Spain.
Hello.
We've got a couple things we're going to talk about today. So one of the things is immigration. The second thing is weak men versus strong, independent women. And the last thing, Kamala versus Donald.
Man. More to come back matchup, huh?
That's right.
In the fire.
Yeah, but let's go. Boost for breakfast, insure for dessert.
Yep. Where we starting with the immigration?
Yeah, let's kick it off with the immigration. That seems to be everybody's hot button. That's either ill-informed or misinformed. So let's talk about it. Matter of fact, I throw this in here real quick. I ride out my neighborhood and I saw some of them slapping the roof up, and they was out there probably like 8 in the morning. About 4:30, I guarantee you they were done.
Yeah.
So you talking about getting something done? Consider it.
But what was it? Was it those particular immigrants though? Because the problem that America's having right now is the Venezuelan. That's what the news is showing.
Yeah. Didn't they just have some kind of mob or some kind of store or something? That was just on the news.
Well, with the apartments, they're taking over the apartments.
No, they just recently on the news. That was a gang of Venezuelans breaking into some kind of shop.
Oh, yeah, wow. I saw that.
Yeah. So
was it in California?
It was in Cali or Texas, one or two. Probably Cali, if I had to make a guess. Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, apartments on one side. I guess you got vandalism now and theft. So what seems to be everybody's problem? I guess to ask the rhetorical question.
Well, I mean, if we're looking at it in terms of problem as far as economics, if we're talking about it, problems as far as social problems, or we're talking about problems as far as entitlements that the Democrat Party has given to the immigrants. So I mean, so many different avenues. That
is a problem. In my field of professionalism, sometimes I get the liberty to drive other people's cars, believe it or not. And they may have certain stations on their radio, and they, it could be, I don't even know if Rush Limbaugh's still doing stuff, but you have your left and your right, and you have those subjects that they talk about. And one thing that came across as I was taking the test drive was the fact that there was a grant that was put out for home purchasing that allotted $120,000 of buying credit towards down payment and closing costs.
I saw that.
And I think the money was like, what was it, $200 million? And that was in California. Mm-hmm. And I think that the grant was gone in 18 minutes or something like that. And then they had to turn it into a lottery. Mm-hmm. And it was meant for everybody, but I think it then got compartmentalized to immigrants. And I think that's where what you have going on, some of the disdain from that. Which if it's taxpayer dollars going to that, and now it's immigrants that hadn't put any skin in the game, receiving all the benefits, can basically walk in and buy a house.
Yeah.
But then even just in that subject alone, you got to wheel back and talk about home purchasing. A mortgage is a banking product,
right,
designed to produce debt and cure interest, which in turns makes the banks money. So almost in a sense, you could look at it as a miniature version of Cash for Clunkers from 2008. You had to go take your perfectly good 1998 Saline Mustang into the shop, and they had to put liquid glass in it to give you a $4,000 credit to buy a new car. Mm-hmm. But it was a bailout. It was designed to restart the engine because manufacturers of cars don't make money unless the cars are being built. Once the cars are built, they're automatically sold to the dealer, and then the dealer's responsibility is to sell them. So if the dealer gets stopped, they can't sell. And if the dealer gets stopped, the manufacturers get stopped. So they have to crank that process up by that. Now, can we say in that particular situation, is that what that is? Especially in California, because man,
it's one of the largest economies in the nation or in the world.
You could be $100,000 a year and be homeless out there.
Yeah.
So I mean, you can take a piece of information, but you have to pair it with all to kind of get the context of what that particular situation was. Not lobbying for it or lobbying against it, just trying to state facts in that particular situation. But what other issues are pressing when it comes to immigration?
Well, I mean, if we're going to branch off from that particular perspective about it, we'll stay in the economic realm. So those, let's say, and I'm looking at this from blue collar, working class mindset, and a visual from my lens is just the everyday worker. Mm-hmm. Now I'm paying $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 for my home. That's a $300,000, $400,000 house. So at that point, then you get somebody to come in and they're they're able to work for less. Mm-hmm. Their ability to say, well, okay, I'll let's say hypothetically we start a business. I got a business, you got a business, you got a business. We all have the same business, but we're competitors. Right. We're gentlemen competitors because I'm going to say the standard price for the job that we do is $100 a square foot. Okay. That keeps us all in business. You got insurances and employees and so forth that you have to pay, so forth. So all of us got 15. So that was 45 people that are employed under us. You get a immigrant that comes in that gets all these entitlements. All of a sudden now he can bid a job for $50 a square foot, undercutting all of us. Yeah. And he can do that because he has somebody giving him some money to pay for homes and a lifestyle. So now what that looks like on his face is that they're getting those entitlements, and it's messing up the ecosystem, the economic ecosystem that we have. What it does is create social resentment. So now we're going to be looking at anybody that's coming in that looks Venezuelan side-eye. You're a black guy, you're a white guy, I'm a Mexican guy, and we hate the Venezuelan guy.
Well, my question is, in that particular instance, how are they able to get the license agreements and the certifications in order to bid that? Because for the longest, those type of credentials kept us out.
Well, I think a better question would be, why are they able to get that?
Right. What is the end goal?
To create a new voting base, in my opinion.
I think you'd be correct, sir. That, I mean, I can't unsee it, as they say.
There's been such a dramatic push in the political stratosphere. There's a shift. There's a paradigm shift that's going on. And I think the Democrat Party is realizing most men are bucking the norms. And so most men in the Democrat Party that were once a part or affiliated with the Democrat Party are saying, wait a minute, things are getting too strange here. Mm-hmm. And I'm starting to lean towards some of these conservative values, even if it's just for the preservation of my family or the family space. Yeah. Then all of a sudden, next thing you know, the Democrats are looking at facts, data, and statistics, and they say, well, shit, we're losing a lot of voters. We're draining, we're bleeding the male voting bloc. I tell you what, let's go get us some new voters. We need them to be dependent upon us. And what better way to create a dependent is if you start them off with some entitlements. Then all of a sudden, once you create that dependency, they can't get off the tick anymore.
Right.
Yeah. So now you got them voting, in the words of Franklin, not Franklin, Lyndon B. Johnson, you'll have them voting for 200 years.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Because you created a dependency.
Yeah.
And now if you start them out with, it's the same play. It's just a different type of people.
I mean, I can't unsee it, just like I said before, and it makes sense. But people get so stuck on the symptom, they don't go to the source. What is the agenda? And if that's the agenda, and you see that's the agenda, how do you respond?
Americans respond with violence. Because hatred is what it is that we do. In America, you know, we hate who don't think like us. We hate who don't look like us. We hate who don't earn like us. We hate how somebody else thinks. And if these people are coming over, they don't speak the language. We hate to have to press 1 whenever we're calling out pain. If you speak English, press 1.
Yeah.
Right.
Press 2.
Right.
I mean, that's what it is.
And so, and like the post said, the Civil War won't be between black and whites. It's going to be against Americans and immigrants. I ain't saying that's what I hope. I'm just saying that that's what it's looking like right now. And these working class, because you're talking about people that are hurting right now, because we're looking at a backs are against the wall. We're trying to figure out the difference between money that should go to gas or money that should go to groceries. We're not even looking at savings and investments and that, because the cost of living is increasing, but there's no increase in the wage.
Right. And to compare that with undercutting in for wages, yeah, that's tough, man.
Well, and I'm fearful of the immigrants because at the same time, they're not the victims here. And the reason I say that they're not the victims here because, you know, they're massing up and they're going to create, and it instinctually they're going to place themselves in a position where they're like, well, shit, we ain't got nobody to count on but us. So that's a gang culture. And especially if they're coming in and the American way is to take shit. Truth be told, I mean, you know, we took land from the Indians. We took land and then we sent them out across the Mississippi River. And we found out, well, shit, they were living, they had a good stretch of land up there. Let's go take that shit back from them. And let's take Louisiana. Let's take, you know, the East Coast. Let's take the mountains. We take shit. And the thing is, they have the right now because people in the United States on the right have advocated for guns. Now guns are accessible. And the same people that have been brought in by the left, the rights that the right have gave them, now they got entitlements and they got guns.
It's a recipe right there.
Kaboom.
I got a question. So you mentioned black men awakening to the things that have been pushed by the far left. So do you think the number of black men becoming more aware of you know, that agenda outweighs or outnumbers the number of black women? Like, you know, for years they've said, all right, black women have saved this election. Like if a Democratic nominee becomes president, do you think that number outweighs the number of black women?
Oh, 100%. I mean, because I think we're looking at it, if we're looking at it from the perspective of the black female, she's been advocated for. She's been advocated for. I mean, socially, we already hold black women in high regard. That's our queen, and it's a matriarch, and she's, you know, even in television at one point, Claire Huxtable, Louise, Donna,
and Viv,
they were all the voice of reason for angry men. So culturally, we've always held black women in high regard. Even if they say that we haven't, we still always have, because I mean, a son's love for his mother is answer enough to how high we hold and regard our females.
Yeah.
And because whenever they're receiving some of these accolades, they're not going. I mean, especially if there's more to be gotten, why would I slow it down They don't see nothing wrong with being a part of the Democrat Party. It's built around them.
Yeah.
The Republican Party fears the black woman vote because they'll mess up. They're voting in large part in this next election based off of the fact that she is a woman and she is black.
Yeah.
I don't have to answer no questions as to why I'm voting for her. She don't have to tell me what her policies, what her plans are. She don't have to tell me nothing. She just got to be beautiful. She got to be on that stage, and she got to be running for president, and I'm going to vote for her.
Yeah. We talked about a couple episodes back. That was the best ace of spade they had. That was it, and it made sense. It wasn't a surprise.
In the words of the gentleman on one of the most highly recorded CDs, Domino.
Oh man, bust the table open.
I'm talking.
Bust the table.
Yeah. And I tried to dispute it, but the more that I had to move my mouth to make something come out, it covered me like a blanket. It's like,
you can't unsee it.
Yeah.
So,
you guys see that video of Plies saying, "Stop asking questions. Stop asking Kamala questions, and she doesn't have to answer your questions." And she's a politician. Like, you ask politicians questions. You ask them what their plans are, what policies they're promoting. But I don't think
you want to remain ill-informed,
yeah,
that's what you do.
But I don't think that, and I saw a lot of people, praising Plies for his comments and saying that, oh yeah, he's right. But on the same token, if Omarosa was running for president as a Republican, would you say the same thing?
Well, when I proposed that question, I didn't ask whether or not they well, when I said that, I didn't propose. My thing was, if that's how you gonna run it, if that's how you gonna do things, then 4 more years from now, when a black man or black woman runs for Republican presidency, don't scrutinize them. You can't scrutinize them, because if you start the game out this way, you don't get to say, that's not my political party, so I want to ask them some questions. No, because you started this game not asking no questions.
Keep the same energy.
You gotta keep it.
Keep the same energy.
And that's all. That's all I'm saying about this whole situation. I'm not advocating for one side or the next. I'm just saying, because I'm more familiar over here, I'm trying to keep people from looking like hypocrites. Because my objective is to say, okay, if you're going to scrutinize one, but you're going to give an easy pass. Now, you understand when people are in that position, because the table's always turning. Those people get to say, well, no, we don't want our candidate to say anything. Because your candidate, you didn't ask your candidate any questions, and you've even had people to say, I'm going to give them softball questions. Well, it seems like me, on that first interview that she had a whole bunch of softball questions, and she even evaded the softball question.
Yeah.
They didn't come across the plate, man. You can't swing and then come across the plate line. So,
man, I'm talking about what you gonna do on your first day. And then she strung together a bunch of words that added up the consensus of all the words that she said. It was a whole bunch of words just to say, yeah, next question.
wow.
Bro, nobody, it's like what she said in that interview is almost like a mystical a mystical song, a mystical city. You can't recite no verse.
Don't do that.
I mean, it sounds good.
Shout out to Mystical.
Yeah, I mean,
don't do a man like that.
You know,
I got you.
So as far as like immigration, and when people say that Kamala Harris failed at the border, what are your thoughts on that?
I think it was a beautifully executed plan, because if I look like I'm advocating for, the border control, and then all of a sudden somebody comes across, if I'm advocating for slowing people down and they make it over, I'm not going to turn around and give them entitlements. But if my plan is to make it look like I'm trying to slow down people from coming across the border, and then turn around once they get over here and I give them all types of entitlements, you don't give people that break into your house a hot plate and some of your best bourbon.
Yeah. Come on back.
Right. That ain't what you're supposed to do. That ain't what we're doing here.
Yeah, and ironically, when you said the next civil war is going to be between Americans and immigrants, it's kind of like thinking Civil War immigrant. It's like, the fact that we have to call it civil.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
Well, the immigration, it affects a lot of arenas. Even when you get into trucking, I mean, at one point in time, you could sit an immigrant in the seat. They slide through some kind of CDL class, and next thing you know, they haul them across country for 82 cents a mile. Which is debilitating the freight industry. Immigrants a lot of times hurt, just like you said, they undercut bidding just to get it, and when everything's established on that and you get those undercuts, everything just seems to go down. Yeah. And that's a lot of that's a big industry in this country, that many more things. So it's important to look at that, and based on how the economics are. Because you can't raise the cost of goods like that, because they're not going down.
Right.
Just because you get to work cheaper don't mean it's going down. So it's going to be difficult to navigate that, in my opinion, as far as, well, we know what the play is, so that makes it less difficult. But at the same time, what's the approach, even though that's play? Because I still think, regardless of who wins the election, that's still the overall play, and that's going to perpetuate itself from years to come, because all you're doing is you're building soldiers, you're building votes. So if you don't get these 4 years, you still got the next 4 years to go on top of that, and then you got them voting for their local governments.
Yeah.
So that's what you got to look at also too. So it's not just the big election we got to worry about. We got to worry about everything else when it comes to that. So it's a lot to unpack. It's a lot to unpack, and all it is getting the correct information before you make any assumptions, because you can assume wrong and look very bad doing so. So that's what we're here to try to do, to get as much information as possible to make informed decisions and know how to navigate. Because that's the thing, we just want to navigate. We want to navigate and know what's to come. If I know the right hook's coming, because I see the shoulder drop, I know I need to slip. But I mean, if I'm looking at his eyes and I ain't watching his shoulder, I'm gonna get hit.
No doubt.
And it depends on how you take the hit and where you take the hit, whether you're gonna get up or whether you're gonna move forward or you're gonna be down for the count. So
with the benefits that immigrants have taken advantage of or benefited from in areas like California, if those benefits have been afforded to, say, the lower class or lower income individuals, do you feel like that would negatively impact the Democratic Party?
Well, I'm gonna say this about California. I think those benefits are being afforded to them people because most people are trying to get out of Cali. And if you ain't got a whole bunch of bread staying in the Bay Area and stuff like that, Cali is running you up out of there. From a business standpoint and all that. So with that being said, I think that play is an attempt to save California. So I don't think if those benefits were afforded to anybody else, or if they are, that would influence their decision, because you still perpetuating the debt cycle. Even if that's like me giving you a Ferrari or the Lamborghini at the 15,000 mile service, you can't afford the $10,000. I'm still providing you it's a disservice. Ultimately, I'm moving the cars, but at 15,000 miles, they're gonna repo because you can't pay for that first service. So essentially, when you look at it that way, that's why I describe it kind of as a cash for clunker type deal. You're moving the houses that are being vacant. You're putting people in them. Yeah, you're going to accumulate a little interest after a while. Maybe you'll buy them cheap after a while, but then you got to have buyers for it when you buy them cheap, and then it's out there when the cost of living is through the roof. I imagine gas probably $6 a gallon out there. I mean, if not close to it.
Yeah.
So I think it's an attempt to save California, because if you get a bunch of them to move out there for something like that, I think that goal is accomplished by putting them in houses, starting that bank product up and starting those mortgages. Now, even if you cut them at low rates and then give them an allowance of $400 a year, because they even talked about that, giving them an allowance of $400 a year off the mortgage. So that's how I see California as an individual state. Now if you fan out and do something different, you have to look at it from a state by state basis. So
yeah.
All right, so well, part of that, I guess my question would be, if they're creating dependence, because that's essentially what's going to happen. If you start somebody out on the system, very few people graduate out of it. You have to have a strong disposition, a strong mindset to venture away from something that somebody's giving you for free. So with the economic woes that California is having right now, and then you're going to drive down wages, and if the cost of living remains high, economically, isn't that a plan for destruction though?
You would think so, but again, it's a plan nevertheless. If it's a plan of destruction, why do you want to destroy it?
Bring in a new system. Please need some $1 million babies.
Hey, it's a plan nevertheless. So that's how you got to look at it, man. You got to go beyond that last step of it sounds like this, but if it sounds like that, and it probably is that, how does that benefit?
Yeah. And
that's ultimately what the grand scheme question is. So
as far as weak
bring
men,
it closer to you.
As far as weak men versus strong independent black women, help me give some insight into that topic. like what do you mean when you say weak men? Weak men in the eyes of how men see men, or weak men in the eyes of how most women identify weak men, or what are your thoughts?
Villain's perspective, no woman can tell me what a real man is or what a real man isn't. The only barbers can critique barbers. So only kings understand kings. So in my mind, the least of us still have the understanding of endurance, the understanding of persistence, and so forth. There are a lot of different components and characteristics, and understanding that what a man is and what a man is consisted of. So under those circumstances, I can't have a discussion with a woman well, that man's sorry. Well, no, I know what that man goes through.
Yeah.
And I'm not giving. It's no different than if we were to sit back and be like, well, I'm gonna vote for. If I'm a woman, I'm gonna vote for Kamala Harris because she's a woman.
Yeah.
See how you start to run into a problem at that point. So it's just like, with that understanding, I'm saying, I know what men are supposed to be doing for their families, and because most women are coming out, or some women are coming out of broken homes or without ever being around a real man, the man that is there for his family, regardless of whether or not he has the aesthetics that women want men to have, 6 feet tall, 6-pack, 6 figures, blah, 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 so forth and so on. You want somebody that's going to be there for you and to love you even when you aren't lovable, and to be there for your children and to mentor them and to teach them and to love them and to be patient and to kill snakes and chase out rats and spray for roaches and fix garbage disposals and mow grass and all of the other stuff. And to a certain extent, you can get a man that does all of that and goes above and beyond. But because most people are insatiable nowadays, I would love to gaslight and blame it on somebody else for not being man enough or not being like, no, you don't get to tell a man that he's not man enough.
Yeah.
That we determine whether or not men are manly or not. Manly or not, I'm sorry.
Well, when you look at it at that standpoint, I think a man and a woman can have a conversation about what a weak or strong man is based on their level of understanding.
Right.
I can say that.
Right.
So it's not necessarily saying that a man can't talk to a woman about what's a real woman and vice versa. That's not the case. I think it's based on the level of understanding, because what you articulated then was just somebody not being strong just because they're not strong in the area you want them to be strong in and not understanding why.
Right.
Or he may be a Henry, he may be a Henry, or he may be on his way to being a high earner or something like that, and him being categorized as weak just because of that. So I think it's all subject.
He could be categorized as weak because he has a white collar job and he don't know how to fix cars, but that doesn't make him less valuable.
Right. Yeah. Right. So I think it's subject to who you're talking to about the subject, and when you talk about a subject like that, you got to be qualified. Now it's just like the wino on the street. He might not can tell you what the good decisions are, but he damn near sure he can tell you what the bad decisions are.
Oh yeah.
So
100%.
A person may not be able to recognize what a good man or a good woman is, but they more likely can recognize when one ain't, because a lot of time people that ran across the ladder more than they have good or bad. So I think that's where the discussion has to start. I mean, you have to qualify who you're talking to about it, because if you talking to somebody who's engulfed in Facebook and believing in all those principles that they hear, and diving into all these, these wars and stuff like that, you're going to get a subjective mindset to it, and it's going to be subject to what their feelings are and not what the facts are.
I agree.
So that's why it's a barbershop talk. It's on the women's side, it can be a beauty salon talk or just whatever, brunch talk, however you want to have it. Yeah. So
ask me again what a real man or strong man versus a weak man. It's a man that stays with his family even though he's unhappy. And the reason that I say that, because if we're going to be talking about the strength or weak or strong men, women leave and destroy families because they're unhappy. Not because he's not doing anything right, not because he's not caring, not because he's not understanding, not because he's not paying bills, because she's unhappy. Yeah. She'll destroy the lives of children with the understanding, they'll be all right, but it's about me, and I want to be happy, and
yeah.
What if that man has been unhappy since he's been with you?
Mm-hmm. And
go ahead.
I agree with what you said about you have to gauge who you're talking to, because when you ask that question, it's like, well, what's the barometer? How are you saying this is a good man or not a good man, because a lot of times I feel like women, like men, the way we identify or say, okay, this is a good man and a person of substance. Those women look at and say, well, no, he's lame. He's a square. He's boring. And the guys that won't work, 60 years old with a man bun in the nose ring. It's like, oh my God, like this man right here, he's everything, and you know what I mean, like everything I've ever dreamed of. But it's like almost like, what's the barometer? Because are you judging a man based on a standard set of principles that every man should have, or are you judging him based on, well, I feel like he should be able to go to the moon and I don't know, breathe for 3 minutes underwater?
I would say good, bad, weak, and strong. A lot of times from an individual standpoint, based on where they are in their life. Because a lot of times you don't know what's good. Yeah. You think what's good to you is good for you. A lot of times it's not. Yeah. And that can be either side, either gender. If you look at it from a male's perspective, you might get the best looking girl in high school or college or something like that. You come to find out that best looking girl in college is not practical. Yeah. When it comes to, the proverbial split duties. When it comes to stuff like that, or when it comes to just taking care of kids. I think all of us are fortunate to have wives that, hey, if we have a sick child, they know exactly what to do. Right. A lot of times, it's, some people send their kids in the emergency room for a snotty nose. Yeah. And, that's it's not what that is. And that's why I say it depends on where you are in your life, because at the end of the day, you will much have a good co-pilot. I think this was on the pivot with what's your guy, Ryan Clark. They talked about, hey man, get you a good co-pilot. You need you a good co-pilot, because it ain't just a good partner. You need a co-pilot. If they need to strap on, take over the stick and fly the plane, they can. Yeah. And that's where I think the strength and the weakness needs to be gauged. Yeah. Seriously. We gauge it on, again, how much somebody's making or what skill set and all the stuff like that. Not to say those things are not important, but all those things. And that's the thing too, skill sets in most cases can be acquired. You talk about high school athletes, people will say speed is a God-given gift. To a degree it is, but it is a skill also. Yeah. You can shave a 40 time 4/10 with good technique, because of that skill. Just like learning how to change brakes. That's a skill. Learning how to change the spare tire. A lot of times people don't have the skill because they haven't been exposed to it, not that they've resisted it. So that's why it takes the right mindset and the right maturity level to have the conversation, because a lot of people eliminate people because of superficial things and they don't even know the whole story too. That's going back to what you said. Yeah. You might not know what this guy's going through. You know what I'm saying? And he might have been unhappy the whole time, but he stayed. But most people, that's a moral victory, but it's an L on the score column. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But it's that can be very subjective.
Well okay, let me send it in a different direction then. If we're going to talk about strong independent women, right? Because those are the ones that are basically loud and proudly talking about whether or not a man is a man or not. Are you? I want to ask I want to type in some of the comments of some of these podcasts I'm listening to or the videos I'm looking at on YouTube, and they're talking about, well, I just want a man to be able to step in and be able to handle the situation. Well, my thing is, why in the hell do you have so many damn situations going on that I have to always come and be the captain of? Yeah. It's like, man, every problem ain't mine to fix. Yeah. Every problem ain't yours to be a part of. You know what I'm saying? Because most people that always find themselves in somebody else's business always had that, well, you need to go say something because no, if you had to just shut the hell up, I wouldn't have had to get in that situation.
See, that's where the real strength comes in there, because you're all about preventative maintenance.
There it is.
because that's they talk about that sometimes on some of these podcasts as you see clips air on social media. Everybody wants an intellectual guy until they get an intellectual guy. Everybody wants a strong guy until they get a strong guy. Or everybody wants a strong woman until they get a strong woman. What was trending a while not too long ago was the interview that Cam Newton had with the therapist. And a lot of people went both sides on that interview, but at the same time, you got to understand the situation,
right?
And you have to look at it and say, "Hey, this is this man's situation. This is what he's saying." And that's not me co-signing or saying nothing like that. But at the same time, I think he asked the question, say, "Hey, she's 41 and she's a therapist, and she hadn't been married or something like that." I think that was posed out there. So with that being said, all of it has to come into context of the situation and the individual. So I thought that was very interesting because everybody on one side was saying, "Man, that lady handled Cam," and on the other side, everybody was like, "Well, she ain't married and she 41 and stuff like that." So it's like,
I think that's valid. I mean, like if I needed to go through marriage counseling, I would want to vet the counselor that I'm going to marriage counseling with. I would want somebody that has shared values and not somebody that's going to tell my wife, "Well, you need to go out and screw 10 men and see, if you really want to," you know what I mean? Like, I want to make sure that it's somebody that has shared values and we're in alignment on a lot of things, because I would want help instead of, somebody to come in and hurt me.
Well, that, and then too, you want somebody, let's be honest, and this is kind of what we can bend back towards the conversation about the, Kamala Harris not having the interviews, or whoever not want to come in on interviews because maybe Trump has something he don't want to come in on either. Okay, I shouldn't have to say anything in my interviews if you're not required to say anything. Now, fast forward to what we just talked about.
Yeah.
Do I want somebody that has not been married for a period of time to tell me what's going on with my marriage?
Yeah.
Because factually, they may be speaking the truth. And a lot of times, we do feelings over facts. We understand it. But at the same time, the punch hits harder when there's conviction.
Yeah.
When somebody can say, "I know what you got going on."
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's easy when somebody loses a parent to say, "Man, I understand what you're going through and you got both of your parents." But when you done lost a parent, you know exactly what that particular person is going through because you dealt with that. And you know those small spaces that they're in.
Yeah.
People can speak to your situation generally, not having gone through it. But when you know those small spaces that you in, that's what really helps your effectiveness. And I think that's, the other side people took on that interview, the fact that she was not married,
Yeah.
And it's a toss up, but you got to be careful who you engage in conversation with, because it's people our ages, younger, older, that have their own set of views on it based on their experience and based on the information that they're getting from lack of experience. Because a lot of this information you get are from other people's experience, and you thinking that's just general experience, but no, a lot of it's cause and effect that nobody wants to talk about. But go ahead.
Well, would that be? Would you be able to categorize that by saying, just because she has the capability of the average woman, or some women have the capability of speaking loudly? Well, if you're not wife quality, you can't be critiquing whether or not a man or a husband is right for you or not. Because if you just wanted to be married, it's almost like you said the last time. If you're more invested in the wedding than you are the marriage, because women that are more invested in the wedding part of the relationship, they're always going to be dissatisfied by the marriage part of the union. Yeah. Because everything that they were leading up, this is a great guy, and he has all the aesthetics and all the characteristics of what it is that I want to present to the world when I get married. But he ain't thinking about growing old with this person, whether or not they'll be able to wipe your butt or wipe your mouth or pick you up and take care of you in your elderly age. It's like, well, what are we talking about here?
Yeah.
You made a point. You said they fit all the aesthetics to what you want to present to the world. That's what we done messed up in our relationships, because we are constantly making comparisons of our individualized understanding with another human being to the world.
Yep.
You married, I'm married, you married. It ain't gotta make sense to me what y'all got going on
At all.
Y'all just gotta make it work, and y'all make it work in the confines of y'all union. Me and mine, you and yours, and we all get messed up because we trying to compare our stuff to other people.
Yep.
We, or is that a woman thing?
I think that's a everybody thing.
Yeah.
That's tuned in, their eyes booked in the conversation, trying to figure out what we're gonna say, because you can mess up what you have with somebody, comparing it to somebody else.
I agree with James. We're not the ones that do that on a consistent basis, because we're so big. Because think about it, the day in the life of a man is as such. When I first wake up in the morning, I'm thankful that I didn't have to wake up in the middle of the night to either die for my family or kill somebody else for my family. Now I got to start my day with fixing what happened yesterday, making sure that the morning or the present is good, and thinking and working towards the future. So past, present, and future is what I'm remotely concerned about all day long. Then all of a sudden, there's a lesson that needs to be taught to this son or this daughter from a male's perspective. There's a fixing or realizing or a compromise that has to happen between me and my wife based off of whatever it is that we're not seeing eye to eye on. Then all of a sudden I got to go out here and the workforce, there's that competitive nature in that. It's some shit I got to eat. It's some things that I got to address. It's a push and pull all day long. And then all of a sudden I got to navigate with society when I'm away from my job. I'm out to lunch and there was this guy that said something, and this person walked over here and butted in front of me. That fight ain't worth having. I don't want to lose my job. I don't want to have to go to jail. I eat that shit. And then I go on about my business. Now I'm back at work, working towards the end of the day. And then all of a sudden I got to come home. And it's like, do I really want to be in a situation where I can't fully relax, because now I got to come home and it's homework and it's dealing with teachers or neighbors and the whole nine. And then all of a sudden it's like, you didn't even notice I got my nails done. Like, what? What are you? It's like, bro, I got all of this stuff going on. And I got to work on the cars. I got to work on the house. I got to do the yard work. And it's like, these are things that are imperative for us to at the very least, maintain socially, as far as the neighborhood, as far as, and it's like, man, I ain't got time to see what my damn neighbor's doing. That's why, when we're sitting in the shop, and I always say something about living in a neighborhood is the worst thing that a person can do, because people don't do shit but watch garbage cans.
Yeah.
Man, I saw James got that damn 42 curve. Shit. I don't want to be the only one around here without a TV on the back patio. So all of a sudden, I go talk to my cousin down there at Best Buy. Man, what them damn 72, 74? No, I think I want an 84. What them 84s going for? So all of a sudden, I go make a bill. And I'm paying on it, or however the case may be, because I don't want to be the only one without a new TV on the back patio. Then all of a sudden you see, and me and James both got TV boxes out front. So you may go get you may go work 12 hours extra overtime a week just so you can go get your TV.
Man, we really talking about that silly shit for real, bro.
Bro, for real. Because what ends up happening is when I say we don't have time to be concerned about showing everybody else.
I'm trying to tell you that I don't even think about that.
Yeah.
And honestly, if I get a box, I stick it in the back of my truck.
I'm saying we don't do that.
I know we don't. I'm just saying the fact that it happens.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Whole time, James didn't even have to pay for his TV. It was
Right.
a gift from his fucking.
Right.
It was a gift from his parents.
Yeah. And we done created some extra in our lives based on the fact that we watching garbage cans.
Off of assumption.
Yes. That's what I was getting to, because eventually all three of us gonna come out and James gonna be like, yeah, man, I got this great deal. My dad went and bought the TV for us because he knows his buddy, and it was a scratch box and they just gave it to us. And I'm gonna be looking like, God damn.
Just spent $1,200 on it.
Right.
I get it, but man,
That's why I
like
say
you
we
said,
don't have
have
those-
time, because I definitely ain't got time for that, man.
We don't. And it's like, but we don't come up with staycations. We don't come up with vacations. We don't come up with all of the stuff that social media gravitates to, because most of the time we don't have the time and we don't have the resources or the time or the energy to go back and forth. Real men, head of households, don't have time to go back and forth with social media drama. And because your job says, no, we need your attention while you, because the 6 figures that we're paying you, we want you accountable. Yeah, no, we don't need you assing off online. If you got enough time to do that, you can be working. So you don't have the capability of going out and looking to see what everybody else is doing, because you're too busy maintaining. Come on, we got work, we got family, we got kids, we got wives. It's like, man, bro, I'm looking for 3 days that I ain't got to spend some money. If I had 3 days that I didn't have to spend a couple $100, shit, I don't have to go out I don't have to take a vacation. Just not having to spend some money on one day, 3 days straight.
Well, you're gonna have that on them big jobs. I'm gonna say that. I'm gonna say it one more time. But
No doubt.
I get it, man. I mean, again, them comparisons, washing the garbage can. I mean, you used to be, you were mindful of what you threw away, so when nobody break into your stuff and steal it.
Bro.
Now they stealing your ideas and what you bought. And I mean, I really ain't got time. That's why I looked at you like, we really talking about that? Because I really don't have time for that, man. It's too much going on.
Man, there have been a lot of times that Shannon be like, well, I want you to drive the truck or drive whatever. And I was like, I can't do it. He said, why not? Oh, but back in the day when we were younger, when you would buy something new, you'd want to show it off to everybody.
Absolutely.
When you get older, you hide what the fuck you buy. That's
Man. Man.
Because it's just like, man, I got to answer a bunch of questions. Folks looking at, oh, I see you got your new little truck. Yeah. I see you.
Why you didn't post it on Facebook?
Right. Right.
Here we go.
Bro, that's not our lives.
No.
Yeah.
So I'm saying, to go come full circle, we don't have the luxury of that's competitive.
You're not supposed to have that.
Right.
As far as from a focus standpoint, you're not supposed to. So bridging back, and that's where strength comes from when it comes to a strong man. A strong man, it said, if you don't stand for anything, you'll fall for everything. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where the strength gets mixed in with potential weakness, because you're not out there comparing. You know, people, are jockeying for a position. They think that's strength. Oh, I got to get to know this. I got to get to know that. Oh, that's a 2025. Got to add this, that, and third. There is no strength in that.
And I think the men that do that were raised by women. Yeah, people gonna hate me for saying it, but these guys, most guys, you can tell there are men that were raised by a single parent mother. You either gonna fall on one side of the spectrum or the other. There is no in between. Because there's guys that are like, man, I gotta shit it and get it, and I'm focused and so forth and so on. And his mother taught him how to be. She put him around enough male figures, and he tried to compensate for not having to be soft and raised by his mom. But then you got the women that turn their boys into husbands, those son husbands. And he has this emotional reaction and emotional look at life, but he also is one of those guys that when he approaches situation, he's emotional, he's illogical, and he tends to lean towards violence because he has this emotional way of thinking and this knowledge that I have my body that can match this anger that I have. Whereas most men, we have conflict resolution skills because we got taught by men that every fight ain't your fight.
Yeah.
Now, if you got to fight, this is how you fight.
Yeah.
But you want to avoid as many conflicts as possible because if you're busy and you got some responsibility, last thing you want to do is jeopardize where it is that you at in life because a motherfucker done piss you off.
Yeah.
My mom used to say, baby, it's better to be pissed off than pissed on.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
It seems like this day and age that just from some women I know, it seems like they have that flipped in their head where they feel like, okay, masculinity is the man that's illogical and willing to flip out over any little incident. Like, okay, babe, he stepped on my shoe, so you should go kick his ass. Versus, the man that's thinking logically and like, no, look, he stepped on his shoe. Hey, no big deal. It's a shoe.
Oh, you ain't no man.
Assets.
You ain't protecting my honor. So no, I'm not dying for your honor because if I die protecting you from the mistake that this man who didn't even know that he stepped on your shoe, and I go over there and confront him in a manner to appease you, I approach him to appease you, he retaliates, he kills me. Now, who's raising my children? Because she's gonna find another sucker. She's gonna find another sucker.
Yeah.
And he's on that just like in the wild. That lion does what to the old lion's cubs. I ain't gonna let them be successful like the cubs that I'ma create. Worst case scenario, I'ma kill it. But you better send them on. And hopefully, Simba will do good out there with.
Wow.
Bro, think about it. I had a conversation with my son just last night. Do not die trying to protect your little girlfriend's honor. Mm-hmm. Because I love you. I want you to come home. Don't be out there fighting and get your head bust over this little girl and she end up with somebody 6 months from now. She's gonna appreciate, oh my God, he died protecting you, and she's gonna eat that up for 6 months. And then all of a sudden,
it's gonna be something that happened.
Yeah.
And
unfortunately,
like with the topic, weak men versus strong, independent women. I've never, even when I was a kid, thought, man, I really want a strong, independent woman. Like I remember when I was a kid, seeing like how some women from New York have that really aggressive tone.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I've never thought I've never thought to myself that, oh man, that's really attractive. I want that. It's like to me, I've always pursued femininity. Like that will never go out of style to me. Femininity,
yeah.
But
why is that seen as a weakness amongst women?
What, femininity?
Yes, and while we talking about the independent woman, I
delusional?
think we need to define what I guess we think that is,
what,
and how
the
independent woman, strong independent woman, and how that comes about. Because again, just like you said, you never thought you want something like that. I don't think any woman wakes up and goes to school on career day dressed up as an independent, strong woman. I don't.
I'll tell you what a strong, independent woman is: a liability.
Okay, explain. We're going to all give our definition. You go first.
She's a liability because if we need a united front, If the house is, I say it all the time, if the house is on fire, I'm from the time that I started dating and the average man starts dating, we're taught you need to be prepared for stressful situations. So when we get into relationships, we've already been battle tested. And we already have acquired the mindset of if anything happens, I need to protect the honor of this woman. I need to live or die for her. So, house is on fire, like literally engulfed in flames. And I say, baby, you go grab the paperwork. I'm gonna go grab the children. If she says, well, you didn't listen to me, and you didn't even ask me what it is that I wanted. We don't have time to go back and forth with you having a voice or some say so. I go scoop my kids up and we jumping out the window. She can sit in there waiting on me to hear what it is that she got to say if she wants to. I don't care. I have to protect my legacy. But you will never see a two-headed snake. One going in this direction, one going in that. Somebody's got to win.
Yeah.
And if we spend too much time, because think about it like this. My wife leaves finances up to me. And the best way I can put it is she knows that I'm better with finances. But because we got together, she knows, well, I can't put any input in on the financial conversations because he knows much more about finances and budgeting and planning out than I do. Mm-hmm. I have been in relationships in the past where girls like, well, you didn't say nothing to me about finance. You were broke when I met you. What am I listening to you about finances for? You're strong and independent, and you need to. Oh, I could. No. That liability aspect is if we are to present ourselves as a united front against the obstacles and the situations that happen with us. If you spend more time concerned about you being able to speak your mind and having a voice, our problem is going to see us as two different units as opposed to being one. And when the enemy approaches the weaker vessel, now the unity, that's what happened in the 50s. It was like, hey, if you kick the man out, we'll give you some welfare. Those strong, independent women took the welfare. And the guy was saying, wait a minute, baby. I actually, with my income, because I'm a Henry, I'm a high earner, not rich yet. If we stay together, I can help you parent. I'm going to earn more if you give me a minute. Says, yeah, but I can get this check right now, and they're going to supplement your income not being in this house, and they're going to give me some stiflings and some entitlements, and I can raise these kids by myself. And oh shit! Now the husband like, well, I thought we were gonna, do this together, and I wanted to be there for my kids, but you took the check over the family unit.
I don't need no man.
It is.
Well, my opinion on the strong, independent woman, I think a lot of it has to do with how that individual person handles pain. One thing that the brain does not like is pain, and it will do anything it can to reduce or eliminate emotional pain or physical pain. In my perspective, I think you have strong, independent women. They're been in several relationships that have not worked. And based on those circumstances, they have been forced to become this person in order as a protection mechanism from hurt. Or they witness a parent go through these things, a best friend or a relative or things like that go through infidelity, abandonment from child's father and things like that. And they vow to never become that person. So the protective and defensive mechanism is to become the independent, strong woman. And in my personal opinion, I could absolutely be wrong, but I'm just going on based on what I witnessed. Again, I don't think any young girl or woman goes to school for career day and dresses up as a strong, independent woman, not understanding what that entails. So that being said, I just really believe that is a byproduct of fear of being hurt in a relationship based on granddaddy stepping out on grandmama down the street with the neighbors before Facebook was open and stuff like that, or witnessing the hurt that somebody else is going through and not wanting to go through it, because it's solely a protective mechanism, because I don't need this, I don't need that, I do everything on my own, which means that nobody can take these things away from me and hurt me. It's solely, in my opinion, a protective mechanism that, and I'm not faulting anybody for having it. I just think that's the symptom. That's the source that breeds the symptoms. And of course, we see the side effects of what's going on. And again, it's like, I don't think anybody starts out wanting to be a strong, independent woman. I don't believe that. I think circumstances and what beliefs are driven into them makes them that person for a protective mechanism. And I'll say, and it's just me putting this out there, all guys don't do right by their ladies. It is what it is. I get it. I'm not blaming or shaming or nothing like that. So if that's a part of the protective mechanism, then so be it. Or you have somebody that's sitting around, playing PlayStation all day and not getting no streaming money. Because some of these cats getting streaming money. But you sitting around ain't getting no streaming money, and you leaving that person and forcing them to have to do things themselves, making broken promises to them, saying, hey, I'm going to do this, you never do it. I think that is the protective mechanism that comes out of that, So, I came up with a single mom, so she had to do what she had to do, to make ends meet. So I can understand how not having somebody there to help. But I would say this, though, I think any person who has the opportunity to get that help and then have somebody lead, they want that. Mm-hmm. I really believe that, and it's not a weakness. I wish we had some female input on this. Say something in the comments. I think, and honestly, I think the most powerful women know how to get what they want from a guy, and they know how to make it his ideal. Mm-hmm. To me, that's the power. The power ain't being able to do it all on your own. The power is to be in your femininity and 100%. Make things happen. It's just like you say your wife doesn't do the finances, but guess what though? You will entertain a conversation, an educational conversation about how and why the finances. And I'm sure you do. So it's not that you stonewall out because she don't know, but it's the same. It's just that you leave that. Mm-hmm. And that doesn't mean we not giving orders and this whole, we ain't got our wives on a leash saying, hey, you shouldn't do that. And that's the misconception. And that's what's painted on social media, that if you ain't strong, independent, you weak and submissive, and you getting stepped down on, and your husband ain't taking care of you. Now, that's not the case. It's not the case. But I think when you have those opposite ends of the spectrum, that makes the conflict. But to me, that's, I think, the origin of the strong, independent woman.
I can agree with some of what you're saying. I feel like, but I do feel like these days that is something that's pushed onto like the younger generation and shown as something to aspire to, because if you look at comments on videos of a woman cooking food and bringing a meal to her man, women largely do not approve of that. Like it's something so simple, but I see videos like that and women comment like, oh my God, you're a pick me, why would you do that? Or talking trash about the man, like, what's he doing? Like, how come he could cook his own food? Or even videos of women like, oh my God, you want me to cook for you? What am I, your mama? And like, for me, I think, well, first of all, I have no clue what a strong, independent woman is, aside from like listening to you. I can agree with what you're saying. Like it's something that was, developed or
evolution.
Out of pain.
Right.
But now it's kind of morphed into something that is detrimental to, I mean, I can't speak to other communities, but for sure detrimental to the Black community. And
Do you see it in any other community? I don't.
on the outside looking in, no, I don't.
Well, see, that's why I and as you speaking, what gets lost in the conversation when the opportunity does not present itself, when we're talking about these women having to, because of self-preservation, my question always in the back of my mind is, when is the victim going to take some responsibility? Because you can't blame a man for hurting you continuously when you didn't want to make the decision to leave him.
Well, I think their responsibility is the callousing of
right. But you can't hold me accountable, because when we were dating, back in the day when we were dating, when we were young, the young girls would always be like, well, and the last boy did blah, 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 so forth and so on. Wait a minute. I had no intentions of doing any of that. But why would you tell me what somebody else did previously? Because the reverse is, well, I see what you put up with. Now you're giving me some insight to what it is that you're willing to do. Especially if I can make you love me a little bit longer, love me a little bit more than him, I know I can get away with it now.
Put the gun down, Jeremy.
I can't.
Come out with your hands up, Jeremy. Put the gun down.
I'm taking hostages, and I gotta kill one to let y'all know I'm for real.
Nice, Samuel Jackson.
But my thing is, there's a responsibility that women have. If you keep going, like I said once before, if you keep going to the pond looking for a shark and you keep pulling out catfish, it ain't the catfish fault.
Yeah.
It ain't the catfish fault that he's not adding up. He ain't got the big fin and he's not 15 feet long. And it's like, wait a minute. You keep, ain't no good men out here. No, you are not.
It kind of says that I did make some, choices that didn't pan out. So to prevent me from making any more bad choices, I'm just going to sear this side of what I got going on up, so it can't, it can't happen no more, whether it be good, bad, or indifferent. So everybody has their own mechanism of protection, and I can't, fault any individual for that. But at the same time, I get where you're coming from. And also too, it's almost like you have strong, independent black women, and then you talk wives. And then a lot of times wives are associated with weakness, and that's not the case.
But see, they're associated by weakness from other women, not men.
Well, that's the thing. That's why I'm bringing that up.
Okay.
Because we all need to advocate for that, because we all got wives that's holding stuff down and got to be strong to hold it down. Mm-hmm. We put in hours, and we got to take care of certain things, and we don't have the mental capacity at times to be that at-home nurse, that at-home doctor. And we find plenty of value in it. I know I do. Mm-hmm. I find value in it. I find value in the fact that my kids sick, my wife all got the kids sick, we need to get them better in 5 days, start a pack. That very seldom requires a visit to the doctor unless they run the 100+ fever, and we get that. Yeah. Most men take value in that. Most men take value in the fact that, a home cooked meal. Mm-hmm. Home cooked meals remind you what you had as a child. If you had home cooked meals, some people ain't had no home cooked meals. I had home cooked meals. Yeah, neck bones, oxtails, stuff like that. Oh man, it's nostalgic, and it brings peace to your home to know somebody that's preparing you something. You get that. It's strength there. They supporting your decision. They supporting when you're going through certain things versus just.
Well, it's invigorating. It's invigorating. It makes you want to do more. When women are, when you get a woman that is an advocate for you, and y'all are supportive of each other, and she's feminine, and your masculinity all work out, it makes you want to do more things.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So it's like, man, the reciprocation of the sacrifices makes me want to sacrifice more.
Right.
Yeah.
So if I'm placing myself in a position where I'm dating a feminine woman, it makes me want to be more chivalrous. It makes me want to be more understanding. Because I mean, now, I mean, if you think about it, the masculinity that's required from a woman, that's required from most women, most delusional women. That delusional says, I want a man, and he got to be tough, and he's got to be blah blah blah, and he listen to rap music and build a house and fight and write, and then all of a sudden it's, well, he got to be able to write poetry too, and I need for him to know all the words to all the Keith Sweat songs. And
He got to be romantic.
yeah, it's like no, you don't. If you're too much of one thing, you can't be any of the other.
And I'll say this too: there are side effects to some of the characteristics that you want.
It really is.
It's side effects to the characteristics that you want. If you want somebody flipping you upside down, inside out in your bedroom, trust and believe they had practice.
Yep.
So don't be surprised. There's side effects to the desires that you want out of a person. So you better be very aware what those side effects are, because you can't undo those.
Yeah.
If you want somebody super tough like that, he may haul off and break a piece of drywall there once in a while.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, so there's side effects to those things. I don't think people take the time and do that. So, you know, if you desire independent, strong woman stuff, yeah, you gonna get that. You gonna get, we need to discuss this, and not to say you don't discuss it with nobody else, but it's gonna be, you know, it's gonna be kickback and backlash. And again, the person who has to clean it up is the person who needs to make the decision.
Yeah.
That's just in all fairness. If it goes wrong and I got to clean it up, I need to make the decision. You should afford that, you know, and that's just part of understanding the gender role and being on one page.
Yeah.
What was you about to say?
I was just gonna say, like earlier in the show, you said that, you know, men decide who men are, but as far as like the strong independent woman conversation, I feel like, how many times have you guys ever seen a woman that grew up in a 2-parent household and her dad tells her, this is what you need to look for, and she goes after the complete opposite, and then she has to become a strong independent woman
Just based on decisions.
Yeah,
based on her
decisions, poor decisions. Like, going after the guy that's not, that she identifies as, oh, that's the man, but daddy's like, no, that's not who you need to go after. And I feel like sometimes women, you know, they go after the wrong thing, and then
Blame the guy.
yeah, but it's like the political conversation we've had, or like the comment you made, like it's pimps and hoes. Like if a guy that is not a real man, an honorable man, is looking to take advantage of somebody, why would he not take advantage of you?
right. And just what you just said, if dad said go out and look for this particular woman, look for this particular man, and you look out for the opposite, you got to bend back and look at how cool her mama made it be as being her mama and being her dad's wife. Because at the end of the day, that's what you look at and see. If you see that as a boring lifestyle and you chasing the thrill, those are the consequences of that. So that's one thing as parents you have to do. Also, you have to make it cool being in love with your wife.
Yeah.
You got to have fun. They got to see you laughing.
Oh,
they
yeah,
got to see 100%. You poking around, all that, because at the same time.
Well, public displays of affection are always going to be, it should always be seen in the household or in the home, based on the fact that, you know, sons need to see how to be affectionate.
Right.
You know, the same way that, because I don't teach my boys to be tough all the time. It's like, you need to cry. You know, because get the emotion out, and then understand that once you process that emotion, shit, work got to be done.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And being affectionate and being outspoken, or being, you know, in tune with how it is that you feel, expressed to me, because truth be told, African American men don't have that much of an alliance with anybody else other than African American men. So we imagine how many people are walking around here, because most men are afraid that the reason that we cannot express ourselves to our counterpart or our mate is because we're afraid that that information and our vulnerability will be utilized against us.
Correct.
So we harbor a lot of feelings. We harbor a lot of what's going on, and we have been taught to not even communicate with each other.
Mm-hmm.
So now you walking around wondering why you gaining weight and your hair falling out. You stressed to hell.
Stressing out, and that's taking years off your life, man.
Yeah,
taking years off your life, man. So, but yeah, that's very good insight on that. But man, that's just a crazy dynamic, when you talk about men get to decide who men are. And I will say this too, just from my standpoint, I think also as men, we get to decide who men are, but at the same time, I think our wives are a reflection of the man that we are, how well kept they are, how well spoken they are, how functional they are. Because a lot of times people don't realize, people want to be strong and independent, but guess who got all the freedom to do what they want to? A wife that's taken care of.
Yeah.
They can be creative. They can start businesses. You know what I'm saying?
But the operative word is wife. And now, if you're with somebody that is, if you, cause think about it like this: how many times have men gotten into trouble and got accused of sexual assault because he went in for a kiss on the third and the fourth date, and the women that were out, the woman that went out with him actually just wanted a free meal. And as soon as he went in, because now in his mind they're dating, but all of a sudden he goes in for a kiss. First time he's like, nah, it's too early for that. Second, third date, he goes in for a kiss. Now it's sexual assault. And she's saying it's sexual assault because she wasn't interested in him. Well, why did you take the free meal? So now let's fast forward. Let's say if that woman who goes into that marriage with ulterior motives, he's doing the best that he possibly can. She just wants a lifestyle. She doesn't really love him.
Yeah.
So now he's going out bending over backwards trying to make sure that he provides her with a lifestyle, and she's like, he does X, Y, Z, and he but it ain't enough because I like to do blah, blah, blah. If she has ulterior motives, she can still, be treacherous and sinister with those resources. Because, and it's scary because most of us aren't taught. Most men aren't taught, because going back to what I was saying just a second ago, most of us don't communicate with each other. We don't even communicate with our sons because it's hard, because we're just now figuring out the difference between somebody that wants to be married and a wife. Mm-hmm. We scored because, we got nurturers and companions and the whole nine. But when you're placing in that cycle, and you look back and you see most of the people that you interact with, it's like, man, that's a good guy, and she's just shitting on him like that.
Yeah.
So that's scary, because you can get a good guy that's doing the best that he can with the resources available. And if that woman says, I know what it is, that it look like, but it ain't enough for me.
So is a strong, independent man born out of that?
No, villains are created from that.
I'm just joking.
That's the story of a villain, Jack. Because I've seen piss poor women turn good guys into complete assholes, because at the same rate that women become jaded from piss poor guys, that's why I said that there has to be some responsibility that the victim has to take. So if a woman is jaded and she turns into this strong, independent woman, well, with all of the people on this planet, you mean to tell me that you can't find one guy that measures up to what it is that you're looking for? So all of a sudden, now that you're 40, 50 years old, talking about, yeah, I'm looking for the perfect guy. Well, actually, you're not even being sought after by guys anymore. And, you know, to borrow some content from Kevin Samuels, I mean,
But they don't want to settle.
right. They don't want to settle. It's like guys ain't even checking for 40 and 50-year-old women like that. Not for life companionship. You know, I don't want to. Why would I do that when you got all this? You got 40, 50 years of baggage. You got 40 or 50 years of baggage and an insatiable appetite. Why would I even try when I can just go get me a fresh off the blocker? Or, nah, baby, no. Now, 40 and 50-year-old guys are already settled. You are 8, 9, or 10. You're talking about you think that you can do better and you ain't settling. Well, most men are taking some of these 5, 6s, and 7s and making them into some winners.
BBL Drizzy, BBL Drizzy, I'm going in. Man, you can build a better E-Day, but build a bear, man. Oh my goodness. Ooh, man, it's treacherous out here, man.
It really is, bro.
It's treacherous, man. And I think a lot of that independence is forced, because I think so, because I think based on what you said, and if somebody actually comes to that realization, what else they got? What else they got?
Come on,
what option they got?
The women?
Yeah. If they grew up, made a couple of ill decisions, been hurt a couple of times, and don't want to settle, and
but we keep talking about them being hurt. What are they being hurt by? Especially if they're the choosers.
Man, you can be hurt by a bad decision.
Well, I know that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But they're blaming somebody else for their bad decision.
Well, we passed the blame. We passed that
right.
part. We to the point to where this is where we are based on our decisions.
Mm-hmm.
So based on my decisions, this is where I am. And if ain't nobody checking for me where I am, or if I can't get a reset.
Right.
Because it's essentially what the whole desire is. I want to be able to reset like I never made the decision, and get a person who would want me as if I did everything right up until this point. That's the ultimate fantasy. I want the reset. Can't get the reset, and I can't get the person that I would want if I was resetting and I did all these things.
By reset, do you mean like a born again virgin?
No, reset as in I know you joking, but I'm gonna let you slide on that one. Reset as in all my bad decisions are going away. All the effects of my bad decisions are going away.
Yeah.
So if I made bad decisions, you
even
never
a
know.
child.
Yeah. You never know it. All those being gone away. I can't get that person that I would have had. And that's the thing about any decision, man, woman, boy, girl. If you making a decision, you working on maximizing your potential right now. If you're a teenager watching this, by some stroke of chance, potential, your maximum potential is what you're working on based on your decision. And every decision you make is going to either elevate your potential or is going to stagnate your potential. So when you 18 years old in high school, then you flip around, you 29, you like, oh man, that went away. And it's my 10-year anniversary, my 10-year class reunion. And then you had good decisions or you had bad decisions. That affords you to be a product of this conversation. Like, where am I? Do I have to be strong and independent and go to nursing school until I'm 40? You know what I'm saying? Just so I can make this bread, just so I can live this lifestyle that I need or whatever. However you want to do. I mean, and none of that, is I ain't penalizing nobody. I'm just making an example.
But I got a question. I mean, I don't even know if it's relevant to our conversation, but so when a man makes money, and the more money he makes, it's like, okay, I can provide a lifestyle for my family. We can make great memories. But ultimately, it's like, okay, this is for my family. When a strong, independent woman makes great money, who's it for? Is it for the family? Is it for?
No, it's for her.
I mean, independent and family don't go together, do? I'm asking for a friend. I'm asking for a friend. I mean, but at the end of the day, I think none of them would admit, but all of them have this truth that all the pictures that they see of the functional families, they can say, hey, I know they ain't functional because he was in my inbox. They can say all that. But a lot of times, I think they wish it was simpler. They wish they can lean on somebody. They wish they, had those moments. I go ahead.
Kanye said she talking that independent shit. She'd give it all up for a husband and some kids. Because when it comes down to when we facing our mortality, and they call it hitting the wall. When women hit the wall, it's just like I think I was a little bit too particular, and I wish that I had built relationships with people, because now I'm afraid that there's not going to be anybody there for me whenever I'm sick.
Man, and then ultimately, that's when it matters. Because if it don't matter in the end, it don't matter now. And what matters in the end matters now.
100%.
I mean, it's crazy. I've witnessed an 80-year-old wife watch her 80-year-old husband take a lab, bro.
Yeah.
Seen it. And it's like, that was tough.
Yeah.
But you talking about some love, though, man. Knowing what they went through and all that, man.
Yeah. That's commitment.
So you telling me you actually want to take a whole bunch of trips, get your body done, and make $300,000 a year just to die by yourself with Shishi, the Siberian Husky, or whatever what kind of dog you got.
Oh, man, I be thinking about that because I be like, man, like, seems like that's becoming more and more the norm.
Oh man,
as opposed to I want to become the matriarch of my family.
Right.
I want to lead this basketball wife lifestyle.
Men are more committed to families than women are. I'll say it. Y'all play with it.
Oh man, we gonna play with loaded guns.
Man, we done spend a lot of time on this one, man. This can spawn into.
But man, we need the perspective, the other side perspective. I don't want nobody to feel like we bashing and beating up on nobody, because at the end of the day, it's for dialogue.
Do strong independent women, not the ones born out of pain, but the new strong and independent women in this generation, do they outnumber the wives?
So what you're alluding to, the possibility that people or women are becoming strong and independent on accident, from no pain, all just for being career oriented. Are we alluding to that by asking that question?
Kind.
Okay. Ask it one more time so I can make sure I get it right.
Do the new generation of strong independent women outnumber wives?
I think so. And then too, you talked about the mortality rate. They've even, gone a step further. Either they can get serious, or they staying in shape to where they can have a baby at 45.
Freezing eggs and
yeah. I mean, do geriatric pregnancies, man. I mean,
So I have a part 2 to that question.
All right.
Since they do outnumber wives, are women more impressionable than men by outside influences like society, music, movie, like culture?
Yes, I think so. I think what has helped the women that we particularly know is their family influence.
Yeah.
I mean, we probably will be the last generation of grandkids that had uncles and aunts from like 10, 12, 6, 7, 8 family. Our grandparents had 6, 7, 8, 12 kids. So with that being said, you're forced into that family lifestyle, and if you're fortunate to have grandparents that were married, and they, fortunately, if they communicated, the things that they went through, kind of like guys sit down and have their sessions, women sometimes sit down and have their sessions too. And it's very healthy. And if you got a family like that, that's very strong. You sit down and have those sessions like that. I think you get a lot of more information passed down. But to answer your question, man, yeah, they're more impressionable. And I think a lot of the benefits are short term, but I think independent women, that's the only way you recycle them though. Because that's the only way you're recycling that though.
What you mean when you say recycling?
I mean, I say it's more simpler to produce a wife than it is an independent woman. Simpler. I ain't gonna say easy. It's simpler.
Yeah.
You provide the example. Your daughter has a mom that wanted to be a wife that carries herself well and passes on those values and skill sets. It's certain skill sets that that's like if I say something about if a child got a cold or stuffy or something like that, you put Vicks Vapor Rub on their feet and you put socks on them. Bet you ain't nobody heard of that.
Yeah.
Oh, that goes down at the crib where I'm at. And I'm the one putting the socks on.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So some of those things are fading away. So it's like the wife's skill set is diminishing, man.
Well, that's the thing. You have first. Let me start off by saying this: you don't hear, you don't see, and you don't witness a large percentage of black men going to the internet or social media talking about, man, it ain't no good women out here. You don't. Yeah. We don't complain because we'll take something and we'll deal with it.
Yeah.
And we'll stay more committed to even a bad situation because we're the ones that are courting and pursuing and providing and protecting and all that. So I said that to say, when we're talking about whether or not you have little girls being taught how to be wives, well, the reason that you don't have little girls being taught how to be wives is because if we're unpacking and we're going in reverse, they're not being born to women that are being wives.
Agreed.
And the reason that they're not being born to women that are being wives because women aren't being better and more particular about who it is that they're providing a family or providing a child for. They're going in with, I had sex with him and I found out that he wasn't shit. Now here it is. I got this baby and I'm gonna raise my baby by myself, my baby and my baby and my baby. And men are saying, that's my baby too. I said, well, no, I got the court system to let you know this child is much more mine than it is yours. And I'm willing to execute. I'm willing to utilize the court system to keep you out of this child's life for the benefit of me having this child so I can receive the accolades of being a single parent and doing it by myself because I want all the accoutrements of the single parent and the strong black woman.
Yeah.
So the guy's like, well, I want to be in my child's life. Now, I'm not going to parent exactly how you, well, if you ain't going to parent how I parent and you ain't going to parent when I want you to parent and how I want you to parent and where I want you to parent, then this is my baby, my baby, my baby, my baby. So all of a sudden, Just like single mothers teach their son, baby, this is how you treat a woman, and this is because she's teaching him how she wanted to be treated. Sometimes it's not feasible, but she's also telling her daughter, she's teaching her different. You want to be independent, and you want to be self-sufficient, and you want to be strong, and you want to have a voice, and you want to work for yourself, and don't need nobody, and so forth and so on.
Don't want to see her get hurt.
She don't want to see her get hurt, but she's actually placing her in the most vulnerable position, because being hurt means that you have to protect yourself, and most little girls aren't capable of defending themselves and not thinking emotionally, because this is what I want to do versus this is what I should be doing. Most people nowadays do what it is that they want to do.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they blame the situation like, man, that's messed up because life is hard. Life is not hard. You keep doing what you want to do and not what you should be doing. Life ain't hard.
Yeah.
All facts.
I mean, it's and it's not that, because the intention is to say, how do we reverse this situation? And in order to be in a position where you reverse this situation, you have to immediately go to where the majority of the source of the problem is. And so little boys should be taught more particularly the importance of not leaving their semen where it shouldn't be. But little girls also shouldn't be taught to allow semen to be left in you. You get what I'm saying? So there's a responsibility on both sides. I can teach my son how to be protective over his seed, but somebody has to teach that. Most people have to teach their daughter, don't let that. That's why I was saying about the whole abortion issue. You shouldn't be concerned about the abortion issue.
Yeah.
Because if you're a Christian, you shouldn't be having premarital sex anyway. And if you are, baby, take care of yourself. Don't let everybody dump off in you. I'm just saying.
Man, I saw a post where people were comparing a vasectomy to an abortion, saying, "Oh, men don't have to do this or go through that, or like everything you have to go through, all the levels of an abortion." But I feel like it's like intellectually dishonest to make that comparison of vasectomy to an abortion. I mean, I'm not saying I'm not to get into, if I am for or against abortion, but
right.
I just feel like it's intellectually dishonest because they didn't compare a vasectomy to a woman getting a tube tied. It's
right. They went the most extreme route.
Yeah. Have you guys seen the post?
No, don't want to see it either.
Okay.
That is bad.
Well, see, it's not so much as the comparison that is dishonest. The fact that the heightened or the
intention,
the intention to deceive, because
right,
because it's like, now you gaslight me.
Yeah,
you just pulling stuff out your ass now.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. So as opposed to us trying to compare or disconnect the two procedures, it's like, wait a minute, where's this coming from?
Yeah.
Why would you even say something like that? You know what I'm saying? So that's where the that's a back against the wall, and let me just throw something out there just to be able to, because if we're talking about rights to do whatever it is that you want to do to your body, I think everybody has that. Everybody should be able to. You should be able to have the right to do whatever it is that you want to do. Mm-hmm. But there's also a responsibility that comes on the other side of that, because I'm one for saying, all right, if I say, well, no, I don't want a baby, and you say, well, I got a right to do whatever it is I want to do. It's like, well, so do I, and that's my child inside of you, and I don't want you to abort it.
Yeah.
Man, I don't want to hear that shit. That's about bro, that about like going to the sperm bank, getting somebody, having a child, and then trying to put them on child support.
Yep.
Like, what are we talking about, man?
And I've heard of the case, bro.
What are we talking about,
Yeah.
man? What are we talking about?
But that's the delusionalness that we're dealing with right now.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that was put out there as a test, is just to see what gas you can get lighted. Because you got some people that gonna run with that.
Yeah.
There's some people that will run with some with no legs. And it's like
they marathoning that thing right
I'm
now.
telling you, man, it's like, really? And then you can't get sucked into the comments, because then you just feeding the algorithm in.
Yeah.
So, but
That's a fact.
yeah, man, it's a lot to unpack, a lot to process. But man, where do we go from here? That is the question. I think if you got a healthy home, appreciate your healthy home. If you got healthy kids, you got a healthy wife, you got a healthy understanding with your significant other. Make it your significant understanding, not to be compared to nobody else. Ups, downs, ins and outs, sickness and health, to death do y'all part. Because at the end of the day, that's who you want surrounding you during your last days, and you want to be able to say, hey, we did what we were supposed to do, and we finished strong. And then your prayer and hope is to perpetuate that. And then that's where it comes to your circle. That's where it comes to friends and like-minded people. Because I made a comment to somebody the other day, like, man, I got 2 sons and a daughter. Hey, who am I get to marry these folk, man? Who family? Because I mean, essentially, I got to give my daughter away.
Yeah.
So do I know some outstanding citizens that I know raised their son to be what they need to be? Because I mean, you ask how you going to reverse this, and I think, planned marriages.
Yep.
Pre-planned marriages. I mean, that's going to be one way. I mean, because you're not going to ensure that the perpetuation by just sending them out there and letting these kids pick on their own, because they're gonna make some bad choices. Because, man, we've made some questionable decisions outside of marriage. So, and now they're exposed to so much more information, they can be easily turned. They don't have those examples to look to, if they're not looking at us, or if they got more of the world than they do what's at home. So
Yeah.
man, but know your truth, own your truth, and just and hang with it.
Definitely.
That's all you can do, man. Any closing remarks? Man, we went from, we supposed to get on Kamala and Donald.
I know.
Man.
We'll start the next one.
Yeah, the great Mortal Kombat battle. Both of them got 1 win apiece, and this is gonna be the last that determines the win.
Yeah.
And you can spend a lot of time. You can spend a lot of time on them, but I mean, I think you still gotta have your plan, regardless of what happens.
Yeah.
Everybody else does. Everybody, no matter who gets into the presidency, the best game plan is to try to win with whoever's in there.
Yep. Because you got folks that been winning for the last 10 years, no matter who the president was.
Yep.
Yeah.
Respectfully. So.
Well, until next time, I guess we'll start the next one off with the Kamala versus Donald discussion, and that we'll be getting ever so close to the day and the time.
Yep.
That changes America, the course of America.
Man, all the barrels are gonna be on fire and all this stuff. Man,
Little baby Beirut.
Man, let's get it.
Yeah.
Villains, we out.
We out.